after operating a media company for 6 years in crypto, what do you mean by narrative building? What does narrative building mean, and how do you build a narrative?
So what I mean by narrative is, so industries go through, again, going back to the history of the thing, industries go through periods of time when the fundamentals are not yet there yet, or investors don't know how to value things on fundamentals. So we're going to get there in crypto, right? We're going to eventually, the equities market is valued on different fundamentals.
Right.
Well, I would argue it's also narrative driven, but there's fundamentals that every investor looks at. Crypto doesn't really have that. We're just starting to have it. We have the first batch, active addresses, TVL, but those are totally shit metrics.
Correct.
So we have to move into better metrics, but until we get that, narratives are the thing that actually drive the prices. And we have an inverse relationship than what we should have, which is what you should have is how it exists in public markets, where you look at a company's revenue, they report their revenue and their customers and their growth, and then that drives the price.
Right.
What we actually have in crypto is an inverse relationship where the price ends up driving, oftentimes, the customers and the activity.
If the token pumps, suddenly the tech is good enough.
Suddenly the tech is good enough, yeah. And we say it jokingly, but the reason for that, it all stems back to we don't know how to value these things.
Yeah.
And so narratives become really important. And so if you actually think, you have to, the way that I think founders should look at this is there are really 3 narratives that matter each quarter. 3 narratives that matter each quarter. Within the quarter, there's months, obviously, and each month has 3 to 5 sub-narratives. Some of those become big narratives and some die out.
Right.
And then each week has the big news story of the week. And then each day has a news story. So there's news story per day, news story that owns the week.
Yeah.
And then the news story of the week can turn into the sub-narratives, which can turn into the big.
Is that how you guys?
So I'll show you an actual example of this, maybe.
Yeah.
Is last week there were a bunch of news stories, which we could list off. A bunch of news stories. One of those news stories was Uniswap launching Unichain.
Right.
All right. So now you have a news story of each day. The Monday news story, nothing came of it. You don't even remember what it is.
Yeah.
Tuesday news story, nothing came of it. You don't even remember what it is. The Wednesday news story is Uniswap launching Unichain. All right. So then that becomes the news story of the week. That then has the potential to become one of the sub-narratives or not a sub-narrative, or to become one of the sub-narratives. So in my case, in this example, I think it's become a sub-narrative, which is the app chain thesis is back.
Yeah.
Every app is going to launch their own chain, and everyone's tweeting about it, and it's going to consume Twitter probably for another, honestly, week, and then it's going to die.
Right.
But it has a small chance of breaking out into becoming one of the big quarterly Q4 narratives.
Right.
So when we think about narrative, so then that informs what we should cover, what we should talk about on podcasts, what we should write about on newsletters, what the panels are in conferences, because we need to give people information that they want to receive. Right. So that's an example of this week, I don't know when this episode will go live. A big exchange is launching an L2.
Right.
Okay. That furthers this idea that everyone has a chain. So that is going to further, that keeps the narrative alive and then pushes it to become an actual service.
Right. I think the similar thing happened with the GOAT AI agent coin as well, right? It was a headline first where it became a millionaire when Mark picked in, and now it has the potential to become a narrative of its own now, right? But that's a beautiful structure. Is this the kind of structure that we follow at Blockworks as well, where you track news headlines and this is going to be a narrative?
Yeah, we kind of unofficially track it, I'd say. We don't, there's a lot we don't do right at Blockworks, but one thing I think we have a really good sense of is we stay very close to the metal. When we stay deep, we're very crypto native. So I think unlike some of the maybe other media and research companies out there, we have stayed deeply crypto native, which gives us a good sense of what the audience wants to consume.
Right.
So if you go talk to maybe a competitor on the media side, what are the most important topics today? They're going to kind of say things that they think their audience wants to hear.
Yeah.
I think the Blockworks audience is the crypto Twitter audience. We don't get cute with it. We're not like, oh, it's the institutional, it's crypto Twitter. Because there used to be like Wall Street and then retail.
Yeah.
Those people are converging.
Yeah.
Like, the head of investments at BlackRock, they're also on Twitter.
Yeah.
They're also, and the retail person,
Yeah.
well, turns out they're managing like $20 million. So, yeah.